sponsor is a new shaving company called the House of Atlas. They gifted me one of their razors, and honestly, I am blown away. Not only does it look insanely sleek as it sits in my bathroom, but it also gives me a very close shave. With House of Atlas, I feel I have taken my hygiene routine to a whole new level. Let me tell you guys this. Shaving is no longer a chore. I now genuinely look forward to it. First off, the Atlas razor has stainless steel US-made blades, and they're spaced apart enough that it barely clogs. That means fewer stops to rinse and a faster shave. I've also been loving their precision shave cream because it seriously leaves my skin feeling soft. And if you want to pick one up in person, House of Atlas is available at Target stores nationwide. But for a limited time, I want to offer you 20% off site-wide. Plus, they're even going to include free shipping. Just go to houseofatlas.com. Use my code Chael at checkout. You got it when you check out. Say you got it from Chael. That's going to get you 20% off plus free shipping, anything on the site. Plus, House of Atlas is available at Target stores nationwide. I want you to visit houseofatlas.com, and I want you to do it today. If you want to make it even simpler, I've attached a link below. I just spoke with Daniel Cormier, and I got to tell you, I left a little bit confused. Daniel had shared with me that he pled the case of Jon Jones at the White House to Dana. And Daniel's made this statement before, which is, on a card like this, it's got to be capped off by an American. And if there's only one American that you can call, like unless you're going to rig the deck, right? If we're going to go old school boxing, no, if you're going to do this the way that it's done, and you gotta count on American, you gotta put Jon Jones in. If all of us Americans are gonna stand back and say, all right, we got our biggest shot, Daniel is right. We'd say you gotta call Albuquerque. But Daniel compared it to Noche. And he talked about there was 5 Mexican-born fighters, and they won, and the crowd left feeling good. And I get a little bit stuck. Like, I do appreciate that it happened 2 weeks ago. I'll just share with you, at last year's Noche, not only did a Mexican not win, he wasn't even in the main event. It was Merab versus O'Malley, just to remind you. So, if we're going to put Conor on, which is the story we're being told today, I have a very difficult time believing the story is true. But if we are going to put Conor on, it solves the problem of having an American win. There's nobody under contract that Conor can beat. That's at any weight class, any way you want to do it. Now, don't forget, Conor is going to fight a 155-pounder. He's going to fight Michael Chandler. But they're not going to fight at 155 pounds. I don't even know if they're going to fight at 170 pounds. They might just make a weight class up, which, by the way, I'm in support of. If you have a meaningless fight, there's no point in murking the waters and doing it at an official weight class. It would be a bigger sign to the world that this is just for fun. If you make up a weight class, but even if you don't, it doesn't make any difference if you have 2 lightweights that are not fighting at lightweight. Do you see where the story gets a little bit hard to tell? Now, if you gotta have an American win, Chandler's your guy. And I just want to share something with you, okay? There's 3 athletes in history: Corey Hill, Anderson Silva, and Chris Weidman. 2 of which are in the Hall of Fame, 2 of which might be the greatest ever for their weight class. Corey had a very wonderful career as well, but in fairness, okay, these are, of the 3, of Corey, of Anderson and of Weidman. These are absolute elite fighters who could go through anybody. They weren't losing rounds, let alone losing fights. Something those three athletes have in common. When they all returned from the exact same injury, none of them were remotely competitive in their next fight. Now, not only did they lose their next fight, if we were to share things they have in common, they lost the ones after that as well. Not like, well, I got to straighten out one time and then I'll be back in there. Oh, by the way, none of them were asked to go 5 rounds. It is an absurd ask of somebody coming off of that injury to the extent that nobody's been asked to do it. All right. Now, I use this just to qualify my claim. Conor's good for business. Conor's good for my business. I prefer Conor. Conor mania is still real to an extent. But making believe that you could get more than 1 round out of Conor is silly. You could find the worst guy under contract. There is no one under contract that he could get out of the first round with. This isn't being a hater. He has been gone for 5 years. He is coming off the most gruesome injury. The only reason it isn't the most gruesome is it's tied with 3 other people that have had the exact same injury. To compete at a weight class that is yet to be determined for a contendership that does not exist. So anybody you put with Conor, you're going to have this glorious American victory. If you go with an American. All right. Now let's look at the Jon Jones aspect. Because see, the problem with Conor, the problem with the story is it's being told. And the reason that I'm having a hard time buying this story isn't just the idea of booking a main event 12, 10, 9 months. It's so far away. I don't even know how far it is. It's so far away that it is next year. Not the beginning of next year. It's in the second half of a year that is next. All right. My problem with that is it would signify right up front, right before we start with anything, it would signify there's no title. Now, a bigger story would be if, in fact, there was a title and Conor McGregor is demoted to a co-main event. But I don't see that, and I don't think that you do either. Now, let's go back to Daniel's idea of Jon Jones. It must be Jon Jones. Well, excuse me. It's a very similar situation to Conor McGregor. What are you fighting for? What is the reason of the fight? And in Jon's situation, and as skilled as he is and as dangerous as he is, even though our almighty rankings room says he's not anywhere in the top 15, in spite of that, I think we can agree if you're going to bring out Jon, you're going to make it for the World Championship. Well, who's the world champion going to be at that point? Curtis Blades is in consideration. Derek Lewis is in the top 10. Jayton Almeida is ranked number 5. Sergey Pavlik and Volkov are right at the top of the list. Surreal Gone has already been done. All right, we're talking about Tom Aspinall. Fair enough. I like that fight too. You're just taking a lot for granted when you understand that the heavyweight championship record, the record, is 2 defenses. Are you aware of that? Since 1993 till right now, the most a UFC heavyweight championship has ever been defended successfully is twice. Now let's just say that Tom's the guy. You're telling me that the biggest fight that we can make is Tom versus Jon, and I'm going to tell you the biggest fight we can make is Tom versus Jon Part 2. no matter which one of them falls down in the first. Whether Tom's streak gets interrupted or Jon's streak gets interrupted. The rematch is the bigger of the two fights. So if you want to do that, and you're saying that the one thing that Jon Jones lacks is an earnest. Jon is not earnest. We don't know that he's sincere. And we know that we can count on Conor. Even though in his last fight he pulled out due to a discolored pinky toe, which may or not be broken and may or not even be his. I'll meet you on the store. I'll meet you on the store wherever we go. Like, this is a weird industry, and the one thing that we do consistently is follow whatever rule we make up as we go. But if you're telling me that Jon and Tom is so big, I'm going to tell you their rematch is bigger. And if you're telling me that you have a sincerity issue with Jon, then all Jon and Tom need to do is find their way to an octagon by roughly mid-February of next year. And that should not be a hard thing to do. But if that were to happen, then their earnest and their sincerity would not be questioned. And it would also give you the heavyweight championship, which is the most coveted prize in our sport. That makes a lot more sense. And as many moving parts as that has, I would rather hang my hat on that than an unranked, unvictorious, coming off of an injury, out of a courtroom, Conor McGregor at a weight class yet to be determined for a ranking that doesn't matter for a contendership that does not exist. Tell me where I'm wrong.